All right, let's dive into the world of the Kapre.
Sounds fun.
We've got a great personal story about someone meeting a Kapre and a scholarly article, too.
Ooh, two very different perspectives.
Yeah, so we'll figure out what this Kapre is, where the belief came from, and what it tells us about Filipinos and their relationship with, well, the unknown.
It's interesting how the Kapre can be both monster and guardian, kind of like how we humans are with nature, you know?
Totally. Okay, first things first. What does a Kapre look like?
Okay, so picture this.
I'm ready.
Huge, hairy, 7 to 9 feet tall.
Whoa, that's bigger than my door.
Uh-huh, right. And they're muscular, dark-skinned, with glowing red eyes.
Okay, starting to sound a little creepy.
And they're said to have a bit of a goat smell, not exactly cologne material.
Oh, yikes. Okay, but the personal story we have mentions this hazy smoke around the Kapre. Any ideas about that?
Ah, yeah, that's smoke. It pops up a lot in Kapre stories.
I bet it's not a campfire.
Nope, it's linked to their love of cigars, big ones. Think of it like their signature move.
So if you smell smoke and goat, run.
Pretty much, and you'll probably find them in certain trees.
Which ones? Asking for a friend who likes to climb trees.
Uh-huh.
Mostly large old ones. Acacias, mangoes, bamboo, banyans.
Got it. Definitely avoiding those from now on. But why those specific trees, you think?
They seem to be protectors of the forest, especially of those powerful old trees.
Makes sense.
In the personal story, the acacia tree where the Kapre lived was doing really well after he showed up.
So they take care of the trees.
It seems that way, yeah, almost like a give-and-take relationship.
I've heard stories about spirits living in trees, like guardians. But where did this whole Kapre idea come from? Made up. Real roots.
Oh, the origin story is fascinating. The word Kapre is thought to come from the Arabic word kafir, meaning non-believer.
Okay.
And when the Spanish colonized the Philippines, they used this term for the indigenous Negrito people.
They connected them with black Africans.
Yeah, and that connection really shaped the image of the Kapre.
So the Kapre isn't just a monster from thin air. Nope. You've got those old Filipino beliefs about forest spirits, mixed with how the Spanish viewed the Negrito people.
Wow, history making a monster.
It happens. And that fear of the other, what we don't understand, that plays a big role in the Kapre myth, too.
Right, because they're always messing with people in the stories.
Yeah, like tricksters. Leading travelers astray, making them forget things.
But if they came from descriptions of real people, why make them mischievous troublemakers?
Good point. I think the Kapre embodies our fear of the wild parts of the world, the unknown, the untamed. But it's not always so black and white.
What do you mean?
Well, our sources also talk about friendly Kapre forming bonds with humans.
There's that story about the Kapre who befriends a young boy.
Yeah, exactly. Sharing stories and wisdom, not exactly monstrous behavior.
So scary and de-friendly. I'm so confused.
It's that duality that makes them so interesting. They can connect, even feel love.
Love.
Some stories say Kapre are attracted to human women.
Okay, now it's getting weird. But hold on. The article mentions a magical white stone that Kapre have. What's the deal with that?
Ah, yes, the white stone. It's a big part of Kapre lore. Smaller than a quail egg, but it can grant wishes.
Wish-granting stone. That sounds way too good to be true.
It's like their hidden treasure adds to their mystique.
Okay, so maybe they're not all smoke and pranks. But is this just an old story, or do people still believe in Kapre today?
You might be surprised. They're actually still pretty popular in modern Filipino media and culture.
Really?
Oh.
Not just grandma's spooky stories?
Nope. Kapre are in movies, TV, books, even documentaries.
Wow. Like they've come out of hiding. But why are they so popular even now? What's the appeal?
Well, think about it. The Kapre is a powerful figure, rooted in history, fear, and this deep connection to nature. It makes you question what you don't know.
Makes you wonder if there's more to the world than we see.
Exactly. That's the magic of folklore. It makes you question, imagine, explore.
I feel like we've only just begun to understand the Kapre.
Oh, we definitely have. There's so much more to uncover.
But we've learned a lot already. The Kapre's appearance, the possible origins, their connection to nature, being both trickster and guardian.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's also fascinating. And here's something to think about as we continue our deep dive. If the Kapre represents our relationship with nature, what does it mean that it's gone from scary monster to potential protector?
That's a great question. Makes you think, doesn't it? Those trees Kapre are drawn to, they aren't just random trees in the Philippines.
What do you mean?
Acacias, mangoes, bamboo, banyans. They often have a special meaning in Filipino culture.
Like they're sacred.
Yeah, some people believe they have a spiritual energy.
So the Capres aren't just looking for shade then?
Right. It makes them seem even more like guardians, protectors of these special places.
Okay, so we've got a creature that might come from indigenous beliefs and colonial anxieties, hangs out in trees with spiritual meaning, and can be both mischievous and kind.
It's a lot to unpack, right?
Totally. It's like they're a walking contradiction.
That's what's so cool about folklore, though. It shows how complex things really are. Fear, wonder, the known and the unknown, all mixed up.
But back to the Capre details for a sec. That goat-like smell. Why?
Yeah.
Is it just to make them scarier?
Well, it definitely adds to the mystery, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But remember, in folklore, things are usually symbolic.
Okay.
In a lot of cultures, goats are connected to the wild, uncontrolled parts of the world.
Right.
So maybe that smell emphasizes how connected the Capre is to nature's power, the side that can be scary and beautiful.
I could see that. Like a reminder that nature is not always sunshine and rainbows.
Exactly. And the Capre, with its size, those glowing eyes, and that strong smell, it all fits.
Speaking of Capre encounters, the article talks about weird sounds, glowing eyes, branches rustling. Are those just stories, or could there be some truth to them?
That's the beauty of folklore. The line between real and imagined gets kind of blurry.
I bet.
It makes you consider what's possible beyond what we can explain. I mean, rustling branches, glowing eyes, could just be normal things, tricks of the light, or maybe it's something more. A peek into a world we usually don't see.
Okay, now you're making me nervous.
Yeah.
Do you think people who say they've met a Capre are just more tuned in to those vibes? The stuff most of us miss?
Maybe they are. Makes you think about what we're capable of perceiving, doesn't it?
Okay, let's play pretend.
Uh-huh.
What if Capres are real? Should we be scared?
Well, first things first. Respect is key.
Respect. Got it.
Especially if they really are guardians of nature, protecting the trees and forests. We shouldn't try to, control them.
So we should be humble, be amazed by them. That's different from how we usually react to monsters.
Think about it. This could be a being that's hundreds of years old. It's seen history unfold, understands nature deeply.
Like a wise old tree spirit.
Yeah, something like that. Wouldn't you want to learn from that?
I guess so. But what about the Capre's mischievous side? Do we need to be ready for pranks?
Well, that's part of their charm, isn't it? That unpredictable nature.
You think so?
It reminds us that nature can be kind and scary all at once. We can't always predict it.
So those pranks aren't meant to be mean.
Maybe they're more like challenges, testing how we react, how we see things.
I'm starting to see the Capre in a whole new light. It's more than a monster, more than a wish granter.
Right. It's all about the power and mystery of nature.
This deep dive has really changed how I think about them. But we still have that magical white stone to talk about.
Oh yeah, the wish-granting stone. It sounds like something from a fairy tale.
Totally.
But maybe there's more to it than that.
What do you mean?
Well, it's tiny, almost hidden, not easy to find or take.
So you can't just walk up and grab it?
Nope. You'd need effort, luck, maybe even change something about yourself to get it.
So it's not like a freebie wish?
I think it says something about wishes themselves. The real ones, the ones that matter, you have to earn them.
That's deep.
It's like the white stone represents that whole journey, going after something extraordinary that could change your life.
And the Capre, with all its unpredictability, represents that challenge too.
Exactly. It's a warning to be careful what you wish for. The path to getting it might not be easy.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's just a small detail, but that white stone adds so much meaning to the Capre myth.
It reminds us that even in fantastical stories, there can be real truths about ourselves and the world.
And that's why we keep digging deeper, asking more questions.
Right. There's so much wisdom hidden in these stories and myths.
We've covered a lot here, but we're not done with the Capre yet.
Nope. We still need to talk about how they show up in modern Filipino culture.
That's right. From movies to TV to books, they're everywhere.
It's pretty amazing.
But why? Why is this creature from ancient beliefs and colonial times still so popular now?
I think it's all about the power of stories. They never get old.
And the Capre, with its personality, mystery, and connection to nature, is a great story to tell.
It's a story that can be told in lots of different ways, for different people.
So it's not just about clinging to the past. It's about making these stories relevant for today.
Exactly. The Capre myth is always changing, adapting.
It's like the Capre has left the forest and is on TV, in books, even online.
And it keeps people interested. It's a creature that makes you think. makes you wonder.
So, we know it's popular in media, but what about everyday life? Do Filipinos still believe in Kapre?
It's tough to say how many people truly believe in them,
Yeah.
but the Kapre is still a part of Filipino culture. Even if people don't think they're real, they recognize what they represent.
So it's less about believing and more about cultural importance.
Yeah, it's woven into what it means to be Filipino, reminds them of their folklore and their connection to nature.
It's like the Kapre is more than just a creature. It's a symbol that says something about Filipinos.
That's what's so great about folklore. It's not just entertainment or superstition.
What is it then?
It helps us understand ourselves, our history, and our place in the world.
This has been an incredible journey. We've gone from the Kapre's looks to its origins, its connection to nature, being both trickster and guardian, that magical white stone, and how it's still relevant today.
We've really gone deep into Filipino folklore.
And what we found is a creature as fascinating and complex as the culture itself.
It's true. It shows how adaptable folklore can be. It can evolve and still be important over generations.
Before we move on to the last part of our Kapre deep dive, I have one more question.
Shoot.
What does the Kapre's popularity tell us about how Filipinos see the unknown?
I think it shows a deep respect for nature. Like, they understand that there are forces in the world that we may never fully get.
So it's not about being scared or superstitious.
Maybe it's more about respect, even wonder.
Makes sense.
The Kapre, with its connection to trees and its power to help or harm, it represents that duality perfectly. Nature is beautiful and powerful. It deserves our attention.
That's a really beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
Even with all our technology and stuff, there's still room for mystery and wonder.
That's what folklore does. It keeps those possibilities alive. It encourages us to look beyond what we think we know and remember that there's always something new to discover.
And I'm ready to go on my own Kapre hunt now.
Haha. But before you do, let's recap what we've learned.
We've talked about what they look like, where the myth came from, their connection to nature, their trickster and guardian sides, the white stone story, and how popular they still are in Filipino culture.
It's been quite the journey.
It really has. And for me, the biggest lesson is that the Kapre is more than just a mythical creature.
What is it then?
It's a symbol, a reflection of the Filipino way of thinking. And the fact that it's still so popular tells us that even in our modern world, there's still room for wonder, mystery, and a deep connection to nature.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. We'll wrap up part 2 of our Kapre deep dive here. Get ready for part 3, or we'll explore even more about this creature and its place in Filipino folklore.
Until then, keep your ears open for those Kapre clues. Rustling branches, glowing eyes, and maybe even a whiff of something strong. You never know, you might just find a little bit of magic in your own backyard.
Happy exploring!
We're back for the final part of our Kapre journey.
It's been a wild ride so far.
We've covered so much about this creature, but it's clear that Kapre is more than just a myth, right?
Definitely. It's a symbol woven into the fabric of Filipino culture.
What really strikes me is how the Kapre myth can shed light on bigger issues.
Like what?
Well, you mentioned that historical connection to the Negrito people.
Right.
It makes you think about colonialism, prejudice, and how indigenous cultures have been portrayed.
It's like the Kapre myth holds a mirror up to society.
It shows us the good and the bad, all mixed up. Can you talk more about that? How folklore, especially in this case, can be used to support and challenge power structures?
That's a tricky one. It's a delicate balance.
I bet.
On the one hand, folklore can be used to strengthen existing power dynamics. Well, by linking certain groups with bad traits, like how the Kapre is sometimes shown as a scary figure.
But you're also saying it can challenge those same power structures.
Exactly. These stories can be reclaimed and given new meaning to fight back against those stereotypes, like how the Kapre is often seen as a protector of the environment now.
That's a good example.
That's a powerful message, especially now when people are worried about the environment.
It's like taking something old and making it relevant for today's problems.
Exactly.
So it's not just about enjoying the story, it's about understanding the deeper meaning behind it, how it affects how we see the world.
Absolutely. And the Kapre myth, with its mix of indigenous beliefs, colonial influences, and how it's changed over time, it gives us a lot to think about. It makes us question how these stories have been shaped and how they continue to shape our understanding of culture and who we are.
Okay, we've talked about the Kapre's history and what it means culturally, but let's get personal for a sec. If we met a Kapre today, what should we do? Hypothetically, of course.
That's a good question. I'd say approach with respect.
Respect. Right.
Remember, they're often seen as guardians of nature, protectors of the forests. We shouldn't see them as something to conquer or use for our own gain.
So we should be humble, be open to the experience. That's not how people usually react to monsters, you know.
But think about it. You could be meeting a being that's lived for centuries, seen so much history, and understands nature deeply.
You're right. That would be incredible.
Wouldn't you feel a sense of awe? A desire to learn?
I would. But what about their reputation for playing tricks? Should we expect some pranks?
Well, I think that unpredictability is part of what makes them fascinating. It's
Right.
like nature itself, both kind and unpredictable. We can't always control or understand it.
So maybe the pranks aren't meant to be harmful. More like a playful test.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Maybe it's nature's way of saying, pay attention, be aware, don't take yourself too seriously.
My whole perspective on the Kapre has changed during this deep dive. It's not just a scary monster or a genie granting wishes.
What is it then?
It's this complex being full of contradictions that represents the power and mystery of nature.
That's what I love about folklore. It challenges us to think differently, to use our imagination, and to explore what we think we know.
This has been an incredible journey into the Kapre's world. We've looked at its history, its meaning, its impact on culture, and even how we might interact with one. What a ride.
It really has been. For me, the biggest lesson is that the Kapre, like all these mythical creatures, tells us something about ourselves.
I agree.
It shows our fears, our hopes, our connection to nature, and our never-ending fascination with what we don't know.
So well said.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up our exploration of the Kapre?
Never stop exploring, never stop questioning, and never lose your sense of wonder. The world is full of mysteries, and folklore is like a map, guiding us through those unknown places.
I love that. So whether it's the Kapre or some other creature from your own culture stories, take the time to really dig into those myths. Find those hidden meanings and see what they tell you about yourself and the world.
Until our next deep dive, happy exploring, everyone.
And keep your eyes peeled for signs of Kapre activity. Rustling branches, those glowing eyes, and maybe even a strange smell. You never know, you might stumble upon a bit of magic right in your own backyard.